As usual, I'm late to my own Japan anniversary, and my 8th year in Japan has already begun. But that doesn't mean we can't celebrate, right?
Done.
MIMEI Rando. 7 years in Japan. I have been thinking about this video for a long time. 7 things I've learned in 7 years in Japan. That's what I wanted this video to be about. But the more I thought about it, the harder it seemed to put my experiences into little boxes and tie them up neatly with a ribbon. I've shared so many of my experiences here in Japan with you guys, whether through video or pictures on Twitter and Instagram, and back when I used Facebook. And the thing is, I don't like boxes, I don't like labels, and experiences can easily become generalizations or even play up to stereotypes. So I turned to Google to check in on what exactly Japan is. What is Japan? Okay, so that didn't really help. So I tried Japanese as well, and what struck me was that many of the searches led to pages about how Japan is perceived overseas and through the eyes of non-Japanese. Eureka, here it is! Everybody is interested in everybody else, and generalizations are the framework that helps us to understand things that would otherwise be strange or weird and foreign to us. Maybe it's not such a bad thing to put things in boxes once in a while, even if I'm really bad at it. I turned to Twitter and I asked you guys to ask me questions specifically about my life in Japan, and you guys turned out. So I'm going to do my best to answer these questions, and there might be a few Q&As that come out after this video because it's a lot to cover. How were your first 3 months in Japan? Did you miss your family and home, and was it hard to adjust to living in Japan? So the first 6 months here were super duper hard, and partly that was due to working a really horrible job, and the company just was, oh, so bad, so bad. Food was really hard to figure out at first. I had to learn so many kanji. I felt a lot of culture shock just walking through the supermarket and not knowing what the best brand for this or that was, and not being familiar with anything, and having to read these things really carefully. Like, I didn't have like Google Translate app on an iPhone. I didn't even have an iPhone, so I couldn't just take a picture and like translate stuff. Like, I had to learn a lot of kanji, and I would just like avoid stuff if I didn't understand it. So it was a huge steep learning curve, and it was a very tough time for me. You know, my Japanese wasn't great, and I was super shy, like just horribly shy, so it was really hard for me to even use the Japanese that I had. So the situation I was in was very bad, and just a bunch of things added together to make for a very toxic situation where I was quite depressed, and I would ring my mum every night and I would basically just cry every single day, and yeah, but I got through that. It wasn't like I was hating Japan, it was just like a really rough situation for me. Thanks to that terrible situation, I learned so much, I overcame so much, and I moved on and up. Like, that really helped me to never get in a bad job situation again, and to not be afraid to quit if things get really bad. So like, I've always been like a stickler for rules and contracts and stuff, but like at the end of the day, if you're in a really crappy work situation or housing situation and you can see a way out, take it. You won't regret it. Got out of that situation, and it was honestly the best thing I could have done for myself, and I moved onwards and upwards. Yay! So yeah, the first 6 months was super hard though. I was asked what are the differences between Japan and New Zealand, but that's going to be a separate video because it got long. What do I miss about New Zealand? Mostly I miss the beaches, I miss family, and I miss my friends, and I feel like I've lost a lot of my friends because I've just lost touch with them. Like, people can just watch my videos and know what's going on with me, but like, I can't do that to any of my friends, so I really don't know what's going on with most of them, and it's, you know, it's really sad because I still love them, but I feel like I've lost them. I've been here a long time. Tove asks, how welcoming is Japan towards people from other countries? Did you feel accepted or stared at when you came there? So first of all, I stick out. I mean, I have blue hair, I have tattoos, I'm white, So I stick out. So people do look at me, and they do look at me curiously, and sometimes they stare. When it comes to feeling like an outsider, being able to understand Japanese culture and language helps a lot. Being able to speak Japanese will break down a lot of those walls. And I find that generally people are very kind and very, very curious. And sometimes people will be frustrated by the kinds of questions people ask, and they'll ask the same questions over and over again, and they'll make certain assumptions. But I actually just think of that as like small talk, and especially after spending 7 years here, it's, you know, it's just small talk, getting to know you, and they're just showing an interest most of the time. What has helped me a lot is making videos in Japanese on YouTube means that like people who watch my videos will often come up to me and just talk to me in Japanese very naturally. Maybe I'm not the best representation of what a foreigner in Japan is, but I feel like we need to break down some of those stereotypes, especially that TV really loves to portray a very certain image of what a foreigner in Japan is and what they like, and kind of sometimes plays to stereotypes. Whereas I think on YouTube we have this opportunity to kind of break that down a little bit. Making videos in Japanese has like a really great side to it and a really dark side to it. Like some of the stuff that people have said to me has been absolutely horrible and like really out there and not nice, and has made me, you know, feel kind of like, I really hope that, you know, the people that when I'm walking down the street, people aren't thinking this about me. But at the end of the day, mean people exist everywhere. Like, I don't think I've experienced any level of negativity higher than what I would have experienced in New Zealand, except online, and that's just a whole nother thing. Okay, if I had lipstick on my teeth for any of those questions, I'm really sorry. Kitty Cat Mob asks, has it gotten easier to being a vegetarian / vegan in Japan, or is it still difficult to find restaurants and cafes? I think yes, if you live in Tokyo. I still think it's quite limited, and that it helps a lot if you can read Japanese. One question I really liked was, if you could put all those 7 years into one kanji, what kanji would it be? And the kanji I would choose is I, or love. When it comes to taking on a new adventure, you really have to go into it with love, and you will find love. Funniest experience with a foreigner. This got a lot of favorites. I've got two. So there used to be this Indian restaurant me and Duncan would go to a lot because it was like amazing. We love Indian food. And I would take a lot of friends and family members there. And then one time I took my friend from New Zealand there. The waiter came up to me and pointed at my friend and was like, "Mama?" Oh my god, it was so embarrassing. We're like the same age. I felt so bad, but it was hilarious. There's this guy I knew when I first came to Japan, and he'd come to Japan because he really wanted to see in real life scenes from the movie Life of a Geisha. And that was the reason, that was it. Kanji asked, did your JLPT level help you get jobs in Japan pre-YouTube? I like the assumption that like I don't need a job because I do YouTube, but I've never been asked to show anyone a JLPT score. I don't think anyone in like the fashion and makeup industries really thinks to ask, hey, do you have JLPT level 1? Whereas if you're doing something very, very like professional where language is very, very important and like a slip up can cause big trouble, like for instance law, I'm pretty sure someone would ask, hey, show me your JLPT score. But yeah. Roman asked, what is your happiest moment ever while in Japan? When we got latte and when we got cinnamon, those were super happy moments. The birthday party that my friends threw for me this year was very special to me. Meeting Duncan, obviously, because I mean, you guys know what he means to me. Doing free hugs. I think the feeling that I get after I do free hugs is the most special feeling in the world, and I really need to do it again soon. Being able to show my friends and family around Tokyo, that has been a really happy thing. You know, that happy feeling you get when you discover a nice cafe. I get this feeling, it might not be happiness, but just of such love when I look down on Tokyo from a high place. The feeling I get after I release a video, that's usually a really happy feeling. When someone on the internet says, I love you, MIMEI, it's pretty happy. The world is not an easy place. It's tough to deal with it, but there are so many happy moments, and I'm so grateful for all of them, and remembering them just, it's giving me warm fuzzies. Oh, and the moment I decided to move to Tokyo and I made the leap and moved to Tokyo, a lot of you guys might not even know this, but I've actually lived in several different places in Japan, and it took me a while to work myself up to living in Tokyo. Like, I kind of worked my way up to Tokyo, and I'm so glad I did, because this city is just like endless, gorgeous,
crazy, beautiful, wonderful, lovely.
Did you have a difficult time making friends when you first moved to Japan? What did you do to meet people? Short answer, yes, I did have a difficult time making friends when I moved to Japan, and doing YouTube has brought me together with a lot of people. How do you battle the fear of speaking Japanese and the fear of possibly messing up? I get anxious and forget basic stuff. Oh, I still get anxious and forget basic stuff. Like, even in English. If you guys could see this video without jump cuts, it would sound like a mess. A very big mess. See, I just did it there. So basically you just have to keep doing it. That anxiety isn't necessarily going to go away. I know, it's not fun, but it might not go away. You just have to keep doing the thing. So no matter how scared you are, keep doing the thing and laugh at your own mistakes. And don't take it too personally if people laugh at your mistakes. Just let go of that. Let go of that. Be a little bit shameless and just laugh at yourself, because mistakes are funny. Mummy asked, there are many earthquakes in Japan. What are you going to do if the big one happens in Tokyo? Back to New Zealand or stay? So I wanted to talk about this because when I was thinking about this video, one of the major events that's happened in my life in Japan was the 3/11 earthquake here, which was huge. It was when I just moved from Gifu to Tokyo and I was in my apartment alone, and it was very scary. Let's face it, if a big quake hits the Kanto area, I could die. I mean, it's a possibility, and every time there's even a small quake here, I get a bit scared. My little fur babies could be in danger, and I worry about Duncan's safety, and I worry about being separated in a disaster, and I worry about what would happen to the cats. And I also got asked, do I feel like Japan is a foreign country? I mean, Japan is different from New Zealand, but it is my home right now, and I have, you know, everything I have here I've built up over the last 7 years, and that's a big deal. Like, if I went back to New Zealand, I would be starting from zilch. I don't imagine myself like running back to New Zealand the moment there's a quake. I don't like to speculate about the future because, like, anything could happen. I don't know what that situation might be. Like, you know, what if I was badly injured in a quake? Maybe I would decide to go back to a place where I have family, because I don't have any family aside from Duncan in Japan. Like, his family won't have anything to do with us. So, you know, there's so many factors, and a lot of them are very specific to my situation, I think, and what would happen in that situation, which we can't really speculate about. Let's just hope that we all live long, healthy, safe lives. That was freaking depressing. Okay, I'm not answering any more earthquake questions because they don't put me in a very good state of mind. What is your favorite place in Tokyo, or what is your favorite place in Japan? I've answered the Japan question before, and Tokyo, I show you guys everything in my videos. Literally, if you want to know all my favorite places in Japan, they're all here. I show them to you guys, and also on my MIMEI channel, my day in the life videos, I make sure to pack as much good stuff into them as possible. What is the weirdest thing, your interpretation of weird, that you've experienced while in Japan? How many things did you know about Japan before you moved there, and when did you start seeing Japan as not weird? So I've put all these questions together. So one of the things that I did see and think was a bit weird when I saw it was I saw this tourist walking down the street dressed as like a bunny Lolita, and I was like, ooh, weird. But then I was like, hey, you go girl, like, why not? I studied Japanese culture, literature and history academically before I came to Japan, and I also read a lot of blogs about Japan and all that kind of good stuff, and I consumed a lot of media and books and manga and dramas and, you know, so much stuff. There's so much stuff. So I don't think of Japan as inherently weird, and I don't think I've ever really looked at Japan and thought, hey, weird, it's so weird. I look at myself and think weird sometimes, but I don't really look at Japan and think, look at this imagined community, it's so weird. I don't think I saw it as weird, but I probably did exotify it. I probably did see it as exotic when I first started to become interested in Japanese things, and I do think I saw it as different, like culturally different and very interesting because it was different from my culture. How do you do the whole immigration thing? I want to move to Japan, but I don't understand visas or how to become a citizen. I will address this in another video, but check with your nearest Japanese embassy and Google a lot. If you never come to Japan, how would you imagine your life? I'm not really a person who likes the idea of regrets. I wish I had done a working holiday visa in Japan. That's definitely something I regret, even though I live my life with no regrets. I do wish I had done that instead of just jumping into working here. But I don't imagine my life not coming to Japan. I always thought like maybe I'd go and live in Korea for a year because I was super into Korean culture and I studied Korean at university for a while, but at the end of the day I came to Japan and it ended up 7 years later, I'm still here. And I don't have any real regrets about that. You know, I've made mistakes. I've made so many mistakes. But it's all led to me becoming the person that I am now. And I'm pretty proud of myself for overcoming so much and doing a lot of it alone. I mean, now I have Duncan, we have our cats, we have our own little family. But before that, I was pretty alone. And I had friends, but they would come and go. And I'm really proud of myself for doing this by myself, and I'm really grateful to my mum for always answering my phone calls and dealing with my histrionics. Thumbs up for mums. If I hadn't come to Japan and managed to overcome some of my crippling shyness and become more confident within myself and started to put myself out there on the internet, even with my bad Japanese, and just muscled through some of the bad things that happened and dealt with a lot of bullying in the workplace and online and learned how to deal with that stuff better and learned how to be a better person, and really I think I've really grown as a person, and in part it's really thanks to YouTube and having this amazing experience and being able to interact with you guys and having this really great, you know, audience. I'm so grateful for that, and that's one of the best things that I feel like Japan, this experience of being in Japan, has given me. YouTube. I know, it's weird. If you enjoyed this video, please thumb it up. I'm not just saying this, it makes me happy and it helps me out. If you're interested in seeing more from me, hit the subscribe button. Pow! Okay. I'm drenched in sweat and I'm going to go now. If anyone's been following me for 6 years, you might remember this. You don't remember it, do you? Duncan's behind the camera and even he doesn't remember, so if you remember a certain video where this might have happened, you're my OG.